Some secrets are meant to stay buried. But when they're dug up by the wrong hands, they don't just destroy lives, they awaken demons long thought dead. In the heart of Lagos, under the facade of a quiet, well-respected family, lived two sisters, Rina and Tola. One was loved, admired, and trusted. The other knew how to wear masks. When jealousy crawls between bloodlines, it doesn't knock, it slithers in, poisoning everything it touches. This is not just a story of betrayal. It is a story of cold revenge, silent pain, and the unexpected twist that made even karma gasp. Body. Rina had always been the quieter one, soft-spoken, focused, and dependable. At 28, she was a primary school teacher, engaged to a kind-hearted software developer named Deji. They were planning a modest wedding for December. She wore simplicity like a crown, while her older sister Tola, bold, beautiful, and loud, commanded every room she entered. Tola had always overshadowed her younger sister. She was the kind of woman who left perfume trails in conversations and made men stammer without trying. But her beauty masked a deep-rooted envy, one Rina had learned to live with since childhood. Tola never understood why, despite her looks and charm, everything Rina touched seemed to flourish. Rina had peace. Rina had respect. And now, Rina had Deji. It started subtly. Deji once mentioned how Tola flirted a little too comfortably during dinner. Rina brushed it off. That's just her way, she had said. But inside, something twinged. Then came the rumor. 2 weeks before their wedding, Deji showed up at Rina's flat with stormy eyes. "Rina, who is Ethan?" His voice cracked with a mix of confusion and pain. Rina froze. "Who told you that name?" "Tola. She said you've been hiding a child from me. A 4-year-old boy. Yours." Rina's breath hitched. Her knees buckled and she sank onto the couch. Not because she was caught, but because of the sheer evil it took for her sister to unearth a wound she had buried under silence. She looked up at Deji, eyes moist. "Yes, there is an Ethan. But he is not my son." Deji tilted his head, hurt lingering. "Then whose?" Rina hesitated. It was a secret she kept for 5 years, not out of shame, but out of loyalty. But loyalty, she realized now, was a leash only the loyal respected. She stared at Deji and whispered, "Let me show you something." She pulled out a locked drawer and brought out an envelope. Inside were hospital bills, a birth certificate, and photos of a newborn, baby Ethan. She handed Deji the papers. His eyes scanned the name. Mother, Tolani Adekunle. Deji's face crumpled. Rina nodded. Tola got pregnant 5 years ago. The father was a married politician. She wanted to abort the baby, but changed her mind late. She begged me to pretend the child was mine. Our parents had a reputation to protect, pastors, you know. So I did what any foolish, loving sister would do. I took the fall. Everyone who knows blames me. But I never spoke. Deji sat there in stunned silence. The weight of betrayal pressing against the floor between them. "Why would she tell me the child was yours?" he finally asked. Rina's lips curled in bitterness. "Because she wants you." Deji leaned back, breathless. What? She wants what I have. Always has. Even now. But she doesn't know I kept every receipt, every proof. She thinks I'd never speak. Silence filled the room for a long, sharp minute. Rina stood up. But she's wrong. She has finally lost the right to my silence. That night, Rina didn't sleep. Memories played like broken records in her mind. Tola, crying on the bathroom floor the night she found out she was pregnant. Tola, begging her to lie. Tola, handing her the baby in a hospital blanket as their mother cried in disappointment, but not at the right daughter. Their father had been told Rina had made a mistake with a boy from university. No questions. Just a cold demand for obedience. Rina had swallowed the judgment. She took the glares at church. She left her job for months. She gave up a relationship once because the man said he couldn't marry a woman with baggage. And still, she protected Tola. Now, she was done. The next day, Rina sent a message to her parents. It's time you all knew the truth. Ethan isn't mine. He's Tola's. I have proof. I'll come by tonight. No reply. By 6 p.m., the family compound was quiet. But she could feel the tension bubbling like lava under the marble floor. Her father didn't even greet her when she entered. Her mother wore a smile that didn't touch her eyes. Tola sat like a queen on the sofa, legs crossed, sipping wine. So, she said mockingly, you're here to make up stories? Rina didn't respond. She calmly pulled out the folder and placed it on the center table. Tola froze. What is this? Their father asked, opening the documents. As he read, his lips tightened. Then trembled. When he got to the birth certificate, he dropped it like it burned. Tola, he whispered. Tola's voice cracked. It was just one mistake. You let your sister be disgraced, for 5 years, their mother screamed, rising. You let her carry a shame that was yours? The glass slipped from Tola's hand and shattered on the tiled floor. She agreed to it. She volunteered. No, Rina said, her voice suddenly steel, I was manipulated. By all of you. By the guilt you twisted into me. By the silence I wore like shackles. Tola charged toward her. You ruined me. No, Rina whispered, meeting her eye coldly. You ruined yourself. I just stopped cleaning up after you. Later that night, Rina walked out of the compound for the last time. She knew she would never return. Her father didn't stop her. Her mother wept but said nothing. Deji was waiting in the car. Did you tell them? He asked gently. She nodded. He reached for her hand. Then let's start our own story. One without secrets. As they drove away, Rina looked out the window at the darkened house. For the first time in years, she felt no weight on her chest. She had lost a sister, but regained her voice. 3 days passed since Rina's revelation shattered her family's peace. She hadn't received a single call from her parents. But Tola? Tola went silent, unnaturally so. Until the storm hit. Rina arrived at her school on Monday to find whispers trailing her like shadows. Her colleagues were polite, but too quiet. Her head teacher, Mrs. Ajayi, called her into the office with a face so stiff, it could have cracked. I got this email over the weekend, she said, sliding a printed page across the desk. At the top was a blurry photo of Rina holding Ethan as a baby, the very picture she had used 5 years ago when pretending he was hers. Attached was a message. Is this the kind of woman we want teaching our children? A liar who hides her bastard child and deceives a man into marrying her? Think twice before letting your children near her. It was unsigned. But Rina didn't need a name. Tola. The poisonous desperation stank through every word. Mrs. Ajayi stared at her. Do you want to explain? Rina inhaled deeply. Yes. That's not my child. He's my sister's. The headmistress raised an eyebrow. Rina opened her bag and brought out the certified copies of the birth certificate, along with a notarized letter she'd asked a lawyer friend to draft, detailing the situation. After a long silence, Mrs. Ajayi sighed. This is a serious situation. You're a good teacher, Rina. But some of the board members think this might attract unwanted attention to the school. There it was, respect swallowed by reputation. Again. Rina felt that old lump in her throat. But she didn't cry. Not this time. She left the office with her chin high. But inside, something broke. That night, she stared at the ceiling and whispered to herself, "She wants to destroy me piece by piece." But this wasn't the Rina who used to stay quiet. This Rina had learned that silence is only noble until it turns into your noose. She remembered something, an old phone Tola had left behind years ago, when she traveled briefly to the UK and asked Rina to store her things. The phone still worked, tucked in a box with her old chargers and a cracked screen. She charged it, searched it, and found gold. Voice notes. From the married politician who had fathered Ethan. One, in particular, where he begged Tola to never reveal their affair. She laughed at him. "Relax, the child's going to be my sister's problem anyway." Rina transferred everything. Then she created a simple plan. The next morning, Tola received a neatly wrapped parcel at her doorstep, no note. Inside, a flash drive. On it, her own voice, playing her lies back at her. And not just her, the politician's voice too. And worse, it was now also on a public Facebook page titled "The Truth Tola Buried." By afternoon, the page had over 5,000 shares. Tola called Rina. Screaming. Threatening. "You think you've won? I'll sue you." Rina's reply was calm. "Sue me, and the press will dig deeper. Remember what they'll find." Tola went silent. And Rina knew the war was over. But the damage? Just beginning. Tola disappeared from public view. No Instagram stories. No church appearances. No flamboyant dresses storming Lagos parties. For the first time in her life, she was being talked about, not celebrated. Screenshots of her voice notes circulated like wildfire. The politician denied everything, of course. But Rina had already mailed the original audio to his wife anonymously. That woman? A former broadcast journalist. By morning, the headlines on soft blogs read, "Lagos big girl exposed for passing off secret baby to sister. Church family's shocking lie unraveled." But the biggest blow hadn't landed yet. It came from within the house they both grew up in. Pastor Adekunle, their father, had been silent. Not a public word. Not a sermon mention. Just distant stares and early retirements to his study. But behind closed doors, he had grown paranoid. A man who built his entire identity on morals couldn't accept the shame clinging to his household. In his panic, he made a mistake. He called the church council for a closed-door clarification session. During that meeting, he insisted his daughter was being attacked by spiritual forces and played the victim. But one of the junior pastors, a young, tech-savvy man named Brother Collins, knew Rina personally. He raised a question. If Rina had all that proof, why did the family let her carry the blame for 5 years? The room went silent. That question opened a door no one could close. 3 days later, a former church cleaner came forward, anonymously, and told a blogger that years ago, she overheard Pastor Adekunle arguing with his wife, saying, "We can't let this stain ruin our ministry. Let Rina take the fall. No one will suspect the golden child." It was over. The church board demanded a suspension. Congregants left in droves. Offerings dried up. Sponsors backed out. Their mother collapsed from hypertension and was rushed to the hospital. And Tola? She hadn't stepped outside in days. Rina sat on her tiny balcony, sipping zobo, watching the clouds stretch lazily across the Lagos skyline. Deji came out behind her, placed a hand on her shoulder. "How do you feel?" She thought for a moment. "Like I finally cleared a debt that wasn't mine." Deji nodded. "You could have ruined them all. But you held back." "I didn't need to ruin them. The truth did it for me." A pause. "But there's one more thing," Rina said, her voice low. I've been offered an interview on a women's radio show. They want me to talk about forgiveness, silence, and surviving family betrayal. Deji looked worried. Are you sure? That could stir things again. Rina smiled, eyes sad but clear. It's time someone heard the story from the one who stayed quiet too long. The radio interview aired on a warm Sunday evening. Rina sat behind the mic, her voice soft, measured, but unflinching. She didn't mention names. No gossip. No drama. Just truth. I was raised to believe silence is strength. But silence can also be violence against yourself. For years, I let people decide who I was. I let love make me carry shame that wasn't mine. But healing begins when you stop apologizing for surviving. Listeners flooded the station with calls, texts, and emails. Women cried. Men apologized for what they'd once dismissed as family matters. Rina's story had opened a door too many African homes kept locked. For a moment, she felt peace. But peace is a short visitor in a house that once knew chaos. 3 days later, a letter arrived. Handwritten. No stamp. Dropped off by a man who left without a word. She opened it. Dear Auntie Rina. Mummy says you're my auntie, but I remember when you used to sing me to sleep. I saw you on the radio and the teacher said I could write to you. Mummy said I shouldn't, but I want to ask. Are you my real mummy? Love. Ethan. Rina's hands trembled. It wasn't the question that shattered her, it was how small the handwriting looked. How heavy the truth now sat in such tiny letters. Ethan was almost 6 now. And one day, soon, he would learn everything. Not from whispers. But from reality. She stared at the letter for hours. That night, she couldn't sleep. Deji sat beside her. You don't have to answer him. I do, she whispered. A week later, Rina visited the compound for the last time. She didn't go inside. Tola came out to meet her. Her face was pale, thinner. Pride, once glued to her skin, had peeled away. I knew he wrote you, she said softly. Rina nodded. He deserves the truth. One day. Tola looked down. I don't know how to be a mother, Rina. I never did. I know, Rina said gently. But now you have to try. You don't get to keep hiding behind me. They stood in silence. Then Rina reached into her purse and handed her a sealed envelope. For him. When he turns 10. Tell him the truth before someone else does. Or he'll never trust either of us. Tola's eyes glistened. For once, she didn't argue. Rina turned and walked away. Years later, Ethan would read the letter from Rina. Inside, it would say, I loved you like a mother because no one else would. You were innocent, and I refused to let you carry your mother's mistakes. But the truth is a gift, not a punishment. Your mother is flawed, but she loves you. And I forgave her, not because she deserved it, but because I needed to heal. One day, you'll understand that family isn't who shares your blood. It's who carries your burdens, even when they don't have to. I will always love you. Rina. Some betrayals burn bridges. Others light a path forward. Rina didn't get the apology she deserved from her parents. She never did. But she built a life on truth, with Deji by her side, and peace finally rooted in her spirit. And Tola? She learned that lies might buy you time, but truth collects the debt. The moral was clear. Family is sacred, until it isn't. But even when blood turns bitter, healing is possible, if someone is brave enough to stop the silence.